In this episode, we're diving deep into the power of purchase intent data and how it can revolutionise your B2B tech company strategy. Imagine uncovering a hidden RFI and RFP market of buyers. That's what we're going to do in this episode. Hello, I'm Michael Williamson, founder of Tech Growth Insights, where we believe penetrating insights drive growth for technology companies. I've spent over 25 years in senior leadership roles at major tech firms like O2, Vodafone, Staples, Equifax and Symantec, selling over $30 billion in tech products and services globally. Now I share that experience to help companies discover the customer market insights that enable strategic decisions and accelerate their growth. Join me as we explore the latest frameworks and stories about insights tech leaders can leverage to drive growth, build a winning brand and achieve long-term success in today's competitive landscape. Hello and welcome back. So we're going to be talking about purchase intent data and just the power of it, just to find in-market audiences that essentially it's the hidden RFI, hidden RFP market. These are companies, buyers out there that are looking to purchase your service, and we can basically uncover those. So that's what this video is about. And then as part of that, we really need to always think about the client journey. So if we think about the client journey, we've got the market of unaware buyers, we've got leads, prospects who convert into opportunities and hopefully into clients. Then we've got our process of how we build awareness, interest, consideration, intent, using education-based techniques and also building credibility and trust. And then we're building them into marketing qualified leads who then evaluate our service and then hopefully purchase our service. And then in terms of the front end of this client journey, the power offer, the value proposition becomes the most important thing that we want to do and put in front of our client. And then as we progress through, the technical expertise of your business, your organization becomes the most important thing as the client starts to evaluate your service, looking at pilots or proof of concepts and then rollout. And then we've got these different factories, and they are really factories because we need to think about them as scalable, replicatable processes that occur within the company to really help drive that growth within the company. And then the first three, the customer data factory, the lead factory, the nurture factory, really owned by marketing, sales own the pitch factory, and then delivery own the delivery factory. So I've got a full other video on this around building a go-to-market, but that's it in summary. And essentially what we find is that the downstream elements of a B2B technology company essentially very, very strong. You've got sales, delivery, the technical expertise. Those three prongs of an B2B organization, technology, tend to be very strong. Tend to find in a lot of, not all B2B tech companies, that the front end can be quite weak. So there's a lack of core marketing capability, which basically results in the inability to generate and retain the attention of prospects through the front end of that journey, which basically chokes off growth from the company and then starves oxygen from the downstream element of the client journey. So that's basically what we want to focus on from a marketing point of view. And purchase intent data absolutely fits there. And what we're trying to get away from is this thing that Andrew Lowe talks about. He's a colleague of mine. He was a chief revenue officer at Social Value Portal. I used to do some consulting for them to help them scale. They hit Series B, and he's basically saying on LinkedIn that since they hit Series B, he's just inundated with just pitch after pitch after pitch on LinkedIn, on email, and he's just getting sick of it. It's really turned him off. And he said that basically there's probably a lot of companies in there with good offers, but he can't see the wood for the trees. It's just a whole load of pitches. He's inundated. So the problem with doing this, if we're doing this kind of outreach is that we're being ineffectual and we're burning our credibility. And then he basically goes on, and then other people join this thread, and then they talk about, it drives me crazy, just outbound mail bots. It's the worst thing about LinkedIn. There must be a better way. And then within purchase intent data, what we're trying to do is to be a lot more precise about who we're actually going. Who we're going after. So within that lead element, we want to identify the right buyers and talk to them at the right time. And if we've got our power offer right, and we've got the mechanisms of our leads, and I've got a separate video talking about attracting leads and what the different examples of those are, which you'll see a link in the description. But that will enable us to really deliver the right message at the right time. And what we're trying to do here always in B2B marketing is ensure that we're talking with power, not through force. So those examples that Andrew gave of just about pitch, is we're forcing the message on a buyer that may not be ready to buy, can't work out what your offer is, and we're just becoming a pest. What we want to do rather than do that is we want to operate through power. So we're putting power in our offer. We're taking the market high ground because we understand our customers far better than the next competitor. And that customer insight is key. This is becoming absolutely critical in B2B technology, having a firm understanding of the customer. You didn't need to do this a few years ago. You really didn't. But now, just with the huge amount of competition, it's so important just to ensure that your communications, when they're delivered to a customer, the customer almost thinks, oh, they're talking specifically about me, and that really resonates. And that's the thing that just enables you and your organization to row a lot easier, rather than expending huge amounts of energy. It's almost like a game of attrition. So this is a first key thing that will basically unlock purchase intent data for us, having a really firm view about who our customer is and what their problems are. And we want to basically do that for decision makers and operational leads. And then just first compile or download a list of your current customers, go through it, identify the largest deals, and then segment those contacts into decision makers and operational leads, and then interview them face to face in front of them. Video's fine, but interview them. Spend 60 to 90 minutes interviewing a set of customers and find out about their purchase drivers. Why did they decide to purchase our solution? Who was the final decision maker? What were the pain points that they were looking to resolve when they purchased? How has the product help to resolve those pain points? How do they use the products throughout the day? What would they say is the most valuable feature or functionality? Why have they continued to use that product, and where did they first learn about it, and where do they go for information now? And then basically form a complete view of customer needs across decision makers and operational leads. The decision makers are those that are basically, they've got resource management, they've got budget control, so they're signing off. The operational leads are just as critical because they're the day-to-day users who are specifying what their needs are into the decision makers. So they're just as important as the decision makers. And then from that, what we want to do is to basically build a view of our total available market, a total addressable market. So that's the full market. How many companies out there? How many different contacts by job title are there available to us in the market for the specific solution that we're selling and being really clear about what is that ideal customer, ideal business that would buy from us. And then from that, we want to take a subset, which is the served available market. So given that we may not want to deal with the total available market because there's some limiting factors, could be logistics or legal or regulatory, or they're just in a different part of the country that we don't want to reach. What is that SAM, that served available market that we want to go after? Then we want to create basically a data set from that. And there's different tools out there to create those data sets. But from that, what we can then do is utilize purchase intent data. And essentially what purchase intent data is that from all of the different clicks that are occurring on the internet, those clicks are being recorded. And there's organizations out there that are logging the most valuable clicks, like who's clicking on the click on a white paper or a case study or a webinar or a registration, or clicking for an article, doing a search, or taking up a subscription, or viewing an infographic. Then all of those clicks are being assigned to different types of topics. So the topic of the webinar could be SD-WAN. The topic of the case study could be Cloud ERP. The topic of the white paper might be VDI. So you've got these different topics and they're being categorized. And then as well as being categorized, they're being assigned by the IP of the individual that's clicked on them. So most companies use VPNs. So even if you're a remote worker and you're working for a company, that IP address can be logged against an organization. And then essentially what happens is all of that data is then aggregated per topic, per company, to identify which companies are clicking on which topics. And there's some econometric models that have been created to look at, in terms of the number of clicks, the spread of clicks across different IP addresses associated with that company, and then linking that with purchase intent. And that's where we get to. So essentially, over 60% of research on buying a new service solution is now done online. And that's why this becomes so valuable, this data. And all of that research that is being done online by companies to buy a particular service can now be bought and traded. And there are organisations out there, like Bombara is one, there's a couple of others, that basically aggregate this data. They've got links to numerous publishers, and then they basically sell it. And then you can buy that data and you can see which companies are interested in buying which kind of services. And then there's something called a surge score, which goes from 0 to 100, and then a score of 60 means that there's a 20% more likelihood that a company is going to be in the market to buy a particular service because of their click and research activity. That's per topic. And that becomes very useful because you can track the change in a company over time. So maybe you've got a bank, and a bank, week 1, their score was 50 on, let's say, SD-WAN. On week 2, it rose to 65. Week 3, it rises to 73. So that individual bank, you can see that their interest in SD-WAN is going up as they're collecting more information. They're drawing up a short list of different companies in the market. And then it might get up to around 80, and it might start decreasing as they've finished their research. They've compiled their short list. They're going to start inviting companies to tender. So what we can do with purchase intent data is basically get ahead of that, understand which companies within our SAM are in market right now to purchase the service that we're selling, and basically contact them ahead of time to basically put our offer in front of them. And that's why it's become so important to really understand, if you're in B2B technology, how purchase intent data works. When I was at Symantec, I was vice president of Symantec, as many of you know. I used to buy a lot of purchase intent data because it worked. And together with a number of other large tech companies, SAP and Oracle, we scaled our organizations off the back of purchase intent data. Back then it was really expensive. Now that's really drastically come down in price. You can buy the understanding of a company for your category for as cheap as $1.50 now. And there are different organisations out there that are putting even a lot more downward price pressure on that. There was a major announcement quite recently from one of the providers that are pushing that price down even more. So this is a great area to understand. There's probably about 5 to 10% of your overall SAM that's going to be ready to buy at any one time. But that will change over time, and it's about getting the messaging right. So I just want to move on to, so what do we then do with this data? Well, there was a really good book which was has been written by the ex-CEO of Salesforce Asia Pacific, and it's called Combo Prospecting. And basically, you can see here the powerful 1-2 punch that fills your pipeline and wins sales. And the key thing about combo prospecting is that once we've understood that company and that they've got a need, we need to be talking to them across multiple channels at the same time. If we just do one channel, it's not enough to break through the noise. We do two, there is a multiplier effect. It's not 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 2.5. But the more channels we put on, there's an exponential effect up to about 3.5 channels in terms of communication. So what we can do is basically utilize purchase intent data, build a database to then outreach. And we can actually outreach through a number of different methods. So, of course, the first one is email. That's a very simple thing to do. We can take that data set. A lot of the purchase intent platforms are integrated with email platforms. So only those companies or individuals within the companies we are emailing who have the right purchase intent. But we can also now upload them, and then we can do targeted advertising. So LinkedIn is one where we can take that purchase intent data, we can upload it to LinkedIn, and then we can start serving ads just to those. But we can now also do this with the likes of Facebook. So I'm just going to switch screens and then show you how we can do this on Facebook and why we'd want to do that. So welcome back on this. So I've just transitioned over to one of these providers, which is called Cognizant. There's a link in the description, but essentially they provide purchase intent data. They also provide a data set, so you can move from purchase intent into the data set. You can then start building up your audience within that, and then you can also link to your email provider. But more than that, you can start linking your purchase intent data, extracting that, and then uploading that into customer advertising platforms. So this is an example here about how we can do this with Facebook. It's not just Facebook. We can do this with Google. There's a number of different platforms. Some of the advertorial-based platforms like Taboola, which basically called native ads, we can do the same thing with there. But essentially what we're doing is we're taking purchase intent data, those specific buyers who've come out of the customer insight. It might be CIO, CTO, head of network architecture are those companies that are ready to buy your specific service, and then we're building lists in Facebook. So why would we want to do this? Well, a lot of people think like this question here, well, my customers aren't on Facebook. Well, the majority of people are using Facebook. The other thing about Facebook and these other platforms is that they're much, much cheaper than LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has obviously got the benefit that you can go in and you can do your advertising on LinkedIn because you're picking names directly. But when you put the power of purchase intent data with Facebook, we're able to advertise to the same audience on Facebook, but because Facebook is much, much cheaper to advertise on than LinkedIn, we're able to get the same results for far, far cheaper. So here, basically, you can see a bit about Cognism. So you build the audience in Cognism with the different filters, different locations. You target by your job title. You can do your hyper targeting, and this is where your purchase intent data will come in. And then essentially then download that list in Facebook, create a customer list, upload it, and then away you go. And then you save the audience, and then you're running the campaigns. So this becomes really, really powerful in terms of making sure that, getting back to this hyper targeting, you're only talking to buyers in the market that are ready to buy, using those principles of combo prospecting to do the outreach. Purchase intent data is a complete game changer from this. It doesn't take away some of the nurturing of longer term leads who might not be ready to buy now, they'll be ready to buy in the future. That should still happen. But in terms of getting in front of the right audience at the right time, purchase intent data, if you've not already done so, is something that you should definitely be on your list. So you'll see some links below, the link to the broader go-to-market video. You'll also see a link to some of the purchase intent platforms, and hope you enjoy this video. If you haven't already done so yet, just give me a like, give me a share, give me a follow, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.